in terms of what we identify ourselves with and how we, and Pluto moving into Capricorn has really brought that so obvious. Like Pluto moved into Capricorn a year ago, and and now look what's happening. You know, Copenhagen is a huge big deal. The climate change. Are you aware of what's happening there? And the 350 and all the movement, the grassroots movement across the whole planet. The protests. There are protests happening in every country of the world that's involved in this Copenhagen summit, where people are demanding things of their leadership, and at some point, you have to start paying attention. The system has to start to adapt, to change, or it'll die, and it doesn't want to die. Capricorn represents the lives of systems as well as individuals. It's where individual life has evolved and sort of fit into the life of everything else around it and become connected. You know, like an ecosystem is connected. The trees are connected to the grass and the insects and the animals that live there, and habitat for one thing is the body of another thing, and it's all, that's part of Capricorn too. You know, the ways that life evolves and adapts, because it's a cardinal earth sign. In terms of the earth element, because earth is physically manifest. It's about where we become new again on a physical level, and that means to evolve.
And like healing, would that be a big, part of that when you're saying become physically new again on the physical level? I just, think of
well, there's the mutable element. Virgo is sort of more about healing.
Okay.
But evolving, mutating is like. One example, I had this brainwave yesterday. It was like the problem of plastic. Now this is actually my current Facebook status right now. This idea of plastic, about the Great Pacific Garbage Gyre, right? There's this continent of plastic in the ocean. And then all the landfills of the world are filled with plastic, among other things. And then I was reading recently about peak oil again. And when peak oil passes, there's no more oil to pump from the ground. Suddenly, plastic is going to become a resource.
Exactly.
And they're going to have to fish it out of the ocean and mine it from the landfills. And that is a Capricornian, practical, evolutionary adaptation.
Right. Okay.
That's like a renewal in the sense of what was disposable now becomes precious for life.
Wow.
And the closest analogy to this that I can think of is the first pollution crisis. Way back then, 4 billion years ago, the very first life forms were anaerobic, which means that they used the hydrogen in a water molecule and released the oxygen as a byproduct. So and oxygen is incredibly corrosive and volatile. It's poison. And it became the very first global crisis and almost wiped out all life until one bright little bacteria discovered how to use this poison. And then it became a resource, an abundant resource, and very quickly the system stabilized, because the earth knows how to stabilize. And if plastic is a problem, well, pretty soon it's going to become a resource. It's going to have to, because we will have sucked all the oil out of the ground. And for all we know, I have a great respect for Earth's wisdom, and I don't think we're doing anything to the Earth. I think the Earth is doing it through us.
Right. Okay.
And that at some point we will discover, oh, that's why we did that. Right now we're in that Capricornian phase of, why do we keep doing all this awful stuff? Why do we keep repeating all these horrible patterns over and over? Why do we keep doing this as a race? And we have a lot of self-judgment and self-hate, which is a very Capricornian trait. The human race is...
and self-hate.
How many of us are proud to be human? I'm a member of the human race.
So
we rock. We're so great.
Yeah.
No, we're like, humans. I don't get... I love my family and I like, animals and nature, some of them, but most people make me sick. practically the norm.
Yeah.
And at some point we're going to have an epiphany where we go, oh, you know that what we were doing there? That was actually evolutionary. That actually led us to this next place where now we have all these resources that we wouldn't have had if we hadn't gone through that phase. You know, like life could never have become multicellular without oxygen. Without all that free oxygen in the atmosphere that was on the verge of poisoning all life, we could never have become multicellular beings. And a lot of other developments come from what looks like an evil, to start with, like mitochondria. Do you know what mitochondria are?
Vaguely, yeah. I've heard the name, but yeah.
Well, they are a little organism inside of our cells. Every living cell, every living animal cell has mitochondria. And plant cells have a similar thing called something else that comes from a similar origin. And they started out as parasites. They were predatory. They came in and but the cells adapted and they went, okay, we can use you. And now mitochondria are essential for our life. We could not survive without them. So, I mean, that's what life does. That's how evolution works. And this is the most potent gift that Capricorn, of like a real understanding of what Capricorn is about, does. It gives us perspective. We can go, oh, this too shall pass. And then it's going to be okay, but at a much higher level of okayness than before. I know that's hard to wrap our brains around because we're very, very enculturated right now, especially. Climate change! Oh my God, humans causing this thing that's bad. Well, maybe it's not all bad. I don't know. I'm not saying let's not do anything about it, because I think that the call to arms, the kind of arms that, you know, embrace and enfold, not, you know, that this kind of call to arms, standing up and caring and gathering together is a wonderful thing. And I think that's a big part of why this is happening, is to bring us together in that way, bring us into a higher level of awareness of what we're
Well,
meant to be.
the only way that I've ever seen humans come together is when there's an outside threat.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of see this. Well, this is the opportunity. Is the human race gonna, you know, pull together?
That's right. And Capricorn is social responsibility, social structure. So, and our social structure is undergoing a radical reformation right now through technology, but not just technology. I mean, personally, I think technology is here to stay.